seen you on television sets. Good to see you physically. Thank you, Times Now, for this opportunity and invitation. I wasn't existing. I just landed and I am here in front of all of you. Thank you for this opportunity and invitation. And it's a sheer pleasure and honor to be here. I think you have selected a very powerful and a thoughtful theme of keeping Bharat ahead. And healthcare is also not left behind. I heard there were a few questions before I landed up here. Healthcare in India is evolving and it is redefining. Since 1946, first Bohur Committee, which talked about social orientation and community participation, there is a huge progress which has been made so far with respect to public health sciences, with respect to healthcare delivery system, research, innovation, pharmaceuticals, medical value travel, medtech in the country. And it is all reflective in the strength of India and Indian healthcare. The foreign direct investment is at $1.5 billion. The Indian health care valued, it is valued at $638 billion with a CAGR of 22%. The total health expenditure is 9 lakh crore, and that was the last budget which was passed, and that's phenomenal. That's all-time high. The out-of-pocket expenditure has decreased from 69 to 34%. We have close to 76,000 hospitals. 63% of it has been handled by private sector. So far, the health of India and Indian healthcare looks good. But despite that, our ranking in the world sector is 66 out of 195 countries. Our bed to population ratio is 1.3 to 1,000, which should be at 3. Our doctor to population ratio is 1:838, which doesn't meet the healthcare and the international benchmarks. Some of the key performing indicators we have done well. We have done well with neonatal mortality rate at 20, infant mortality rate at 28, and some of the states are at single digit at 6, like state of Kerala. Maternal mortality rate at 97. Unfortunately, in India, health is a state subject, and that's where the equity and the challenges come in. So the topic of revolutionizing healthcare, how do we do that? And there needs to be a definitive synergy between arts and science, the way medicine is practiced, and arts and science, the way healthcare is delivered. Prevention should be the key. Unfortunately, we have been extremely curative in our approach. We have done phenomenally well with innovation, research, and technology. But we need to identify a few important preventive biomarkers. We also need to suggest age-appropriate screening. So pap smear at the age of 35, mammography at age of 40, cardiac profile from 42 to 45, colonoscopy at the age of 50. These are evidence-based science and these are good practices, and that is what should be followed. We have also done well with vaccine preventable diseases in pediatric population. There are 14 vaccines for adult, and COVID is a fantastic example, which we need to adhere to. The WHO definition for good health is free from disease. But free from disease will only happen if we practice healthy diet, lifestyle modification, yoga, meditation. And that needs to be a very powerful push with national policy and a powerful push from the state and the national government. So overall, what we have seen is that in the recent times, there has been a distrust between public and healthcare providers, mainly with respect to increase in the cost in the healthcare. So there needs to be a self-policing, there needs to be an auto-correction, there needs to be a rational behavior practice, rational prescription practice, there needs to be an appropriate therapy which is prescribed, there needs to be an adequate communication, more time being spent with the family and the patients at the healthcare And that behavior has to change, and then behavior has to be inculcated. Modern medicine has its limitation. We have seen this, and it needs to have a good marriage with the integrated or alternate system of medicine, and we need to bring in holistic care. There is a human potential, and I think everybody talks about that demographic dividend. The human potential in healthcare and the talent pool needs to be protected. There are close to 13 lakh doctors, which we need to increase to 50 lakhs, with a ratio of 16 doctors per 10,000 population. There are 34 lakh nursing staff, which needs to increase to 1.5 crore. The next year, there would be close to 2 lakh nursing staff superannuating in UK. And unfortunately, all of them seek greener pastures and they move on. We need to empower them. We need to retain them. How do we do that? We need to open more medical colleges, more nursing colleges, and have them retain the talent here. With respect to medical colleges, when we were graduating and post-graduating, there were 250, 300 colleges. We have 780 colleges right now. The undergraduates which are passing is close to 1,18,000 per year, and postgraduates is 74,000. And Honorable Prime Minister has also indicated that 75,000 seats more have to increase. So we possibly are doing well with quantity, where we will meet some of the benchmark which has been set by WHO. What we are not focusing is on quality. The quality of the faculty who trains, the quality of the staff who practices, quality of the students who are passing out, and they need to be skill-based and based on competency. And that is, I think, the key. The technology is helping us in revolutionizing healthcare. The Teslarization of healthcare has already begun. We cannot now keep on discussing about artificial intelligence. We need to be early adopters. And at our institute, which is at Kochi and at Faridabad, we realized that it is important. And we started a B.Tech and an M.Tech program in AI and medicine that is first time in the country. And these undergraduates and postgraduates, they have started interacting with the medical fraternity, and they are developing some few of the changes which are just phenomenal. And that is where we need to transform our delivery of its practice through artificial intelligence in medicine in almost all the branches, just not limited to imaging, pathology, lab medicine, dermatology. It has to basically integrate with all branches of medicine. So it is basically artificial intelligence is transforming the way the diagnosis is done, the way the curative therapies are done, and way the disease management groups are practices. We have seen involvement of robotics almost in all sectors. It is very precise surgery. There's less trauma, less bleeding, less stay, less infections. And that's making inroads in almost all branches. It is important that this also intelligent and smart system of robotic gets into lab system, and which is already there, and AI-powered chatbot, which would be the need of the hour. 3D printing, 3D bioprinting, and bioinking is what we have seen bringing in huge power the way medicine is practiced now. There is a complex heart disease. In an echocardiography, you are unable to see. You can print that heart, give it to the surgeon so that he doesn't make he makes proper decisions on an operation theatre table. With bioprinting, we would be able to grow kidneys and liver, and that would be, again, a phenomenal progress for solid organ transplantation program, which would be needed because the disease donor program in our country has its limitation. There is augmented reality, virtual reality, which has been penetrative. There are structural complex diseases with which the patients come in, and we have absolutely no clue what needs to be done. Through these augmented virtual realities, you need to ease and take good clinical decisions. And this also can be used for good medical education and education for students. Precise medicine, precision medicine, personalized medicine with genomics is the next stage which we are seeing. The genome will become your Janam Patri, and it is the genome Patri which is going to make a lot of sense. If the gut microbiomes is taken, we right now would know how you behave, why you behave, the way you behave, and what is your 2 to 3 decades from now would look like. And that's changing. So a one shoe fit all model is changing into tailorizing your therapy on an individual genome-based diagnosis. And we have seen this in cancer therapy. We have seen this with CRISPR-based technology. We have seen this with pharmacogenomics. And CAR T-cell is already existing, and we have seen some remarkable progress. Even in pharmaceutical sector, there are close to 60,000 generic medicines which India has in 60 therapeutic categories. India produces and it acquires close to 20% of the global supply. It is important that we remain the powerhouse of pharmaceuticals across the world. And that's the power, and that's what we need to retain. It is slated to be at $130 billion industry, and that's huge strength. MedTech is one of the very, very important sector. We recently saw, just 1 or 2 days back, 1.5 Tesla Make in India MRI machine gets installed in one of the prestigious institutions of the country. Something which is phenomenal, something which is remarkable, something which is never heard of. So there's a Make in India push. Through that, there is huge technology innovation, which is cost-effective and which is making inroads. We have seen that post-COVID with ventilators, with syringe pumps, infusion pumps, with most of the multi-para monitors, transport ventilators, and so on and so forth. So overall, we are seeing a huge, remarkable progress in Indian healthcare. Medical value travel is a $125 billion industry. India captures 13 billion. It is ranked 10. And we are right now seeing a B2B, B2C, but how can we revolutionize? We need to see a G2G, a government-to-government program. What has been seen in IT, we need to see in healthcare, where bulk of the patients who need care, who needs addressal of their disease management comes to India. We have the talent, we have the skills, we have the competency, and we'll do wonders. So in the end, I'll end with one of the couplets which my father-in-law used to always say, "ए वक्त जरा तमीज से पेशा, वक्त नहीं लगता वक्त बदलते हुए." भारत का वक्त बदल रहा है, भारत के स्वास्थ्य सेवाओं का वक्त बदल रहा है, and I seek everybody's engagement and participation in this progress and revolutionizing Indian healthcare. Thank you very much for your patient listening.